Welcome back to From Dirt We Grow. I am your host, Stephanie Kendall. Thank you so much for being here today as we explore a skill so widely lacking. Uncovering the consequences of its absence is what we're on today. Of course, before we get to that, I need you to please hit me with the LSB, the like, subscribe, and the bell. And don't forget to share the content, comment or ask questions on the content, listen to the content. Any and all of the above is greatly appreciated. So I'll start us out with the first question. Why is it that every time someone asks a reasonable or thought provoking question these days, they're labeled as conspiracy theorists or extremists? There is a reason, of course, and it's no accident. Critical thinking involves the ability to think for yourself, to weigh the pros and cons of the situation, to have all of the information needed to be able to make the right decisions and ask the questions that there may not be forthcoming or truthful answers to. These are the questions they'd rather you not ask because, as I've said, an ignorant to the facts public is an easier to control public, easier to manipulate and mislead. So, as a collective society, we have been conditioned to follow our leaders, give our blind faith to them, those in the positions, in the roles of being our advocates. And honestly, in theory, we should be able to do that, to let them lead us because we should be able to trust them. That's what they're there for. Who has the time to do their job for them, to stop and ask questions of why are they doing this? Why aren't they looking out for my best interests? We should be able to blindly trust them, and that's just not the case. That's what they're supposed to be doing, is looking out for us. But unfortunately for us, this is not reality right now. So it is something that we need to be doing. We need to be questioning, weighing, gathering information about the motives and the decisions that are made that affect our very existences and the quality of it. Let's take a look at just how critical thinking is being suppressed. And then we'll get to how we can reclaim our power. We are being trained by design not to think critically. It all starts with our education. In an earlier episode, I did talk about the problems in the curriculum, the outdated systems, the curriculums in our schools, and how it needs to be updated and reformed. If you missed that episode, I encourage you to check it out at some point. It's episode 4, how our tax dollars are spent. That's a good episode, by the way. But adding to the argument in regards to the flaws in our education system. So critical thinking is another lacking. It's not being taught, it's not being cultivated. And that's through the prioritization of the memorization over analysis. And using these standardized tests encourages like one right answer thinking, giving the illusion that there's no other answer, that there's no other way to come to an answer, there's no other way to look at things. And this keeps us in a state of mind where it's just the one point of view, it's one way to look at something, and that's just not the case. I mean, this way of thinking plays a huge part in so many other avoidable problems we manufacture between each other. But we're covering all that in these various episodes. So the education system, and then the media. I mean, they got tactics up their sleeves. The sensationalism of the headlines that push emotion, they push these emotional reactions over rational thought, like attention grabbing, catastrophizing of news stories makes for more readers, increasing their bottom line, not having the intention of keeping people informed. Of course, it's all about the mighty dollar. More and more, many news channels, especially the big ones, the veteran ones, are tending to lean politically left or right. And we all see this. This is due to ownership interests and basically who their target audience is. It's easier to see where they stand, how they choose to relay the stories, or which ones they choose to cover. And with all the social media platforms out there, the news there just cannot be relied on to be accurate or unbiased either. Algorithms favor outrage and, of course, repetition. So again, the whole goal is to get people to click. They're trying to grab emotions to get you to click, and it's not for the purpose of actually informing the public with the news. And there are so many fake news channels and AI generated stories popping up all over social media, making it harder for us to sift through the crap and get to the content. So now let's take a look at who benefits from our inability to think critically. For one, the big tech companies. I mean, more engagement equals more profit. Of course, mainstream media, because polarization drives ratings. The more divided we are, the more, they have their loyal audiences. Of course, big corporations, because when we as consumers, we don't question marketing tactics. So we overspend and we overconsume. And the big ones, no surprise here, our political figures benefit from us blindly following them without asking the questions that we should be asking. When we blindly follow narratives, they face less accountability. If we don't know what to question or what other options or solutions there could be, we don't have a reason to push back. So us thinking critically is so important. It's beneficial to us, and we need to change the way we process information. Whatever the real intentions are, whichever culprit it is, if they'd rather keep you blissfully ignorant, just know there is a hidden agenda at work. So now that we know why it's beneficial to be a bit analytic, let's explore how to recognize and resist manipulation. Let's start out by saying that being a critical thinker does not entail rejection of everything you hear. It just means knowing how and when to question motives and being objective. I know this is hard because if you hear something that you want to believe, if it's something that you already agree with, it's more difficult to make yourself think about the validity of it or if it's truly beneficial to you or the people. Nowadays, more than ever, that old saying holds all the water. You just cannot believe everything you read or hear or see. It's so imperative to update how we process news, especially political news. And also to keep in mind, it is important to remember that their ulterior motive driven plans, it's so important to them that we pick a side of their divisional lines. To retrain our brains, I suggest getting into these habits. Now, when you hear something, ask yourself, who benefits from me believing this? What evidence is there to support this? Is it credible? Is the source credible? What's the opposing argument? Is that being highlighted in the same way, or is this just another partial one-sided story or claim? And then learn to spot emotional manipulation. Watch for emotion evoking urgency from the source. They use fear tactics, guilt inducing manipulation. They try to trigger anger or get a rise out of you. They're all ruthless tactics of biased reporting. So, if you spot these warning signs, it's time to kick rationality into gear. Ask the questions, do the research. Don't be blindly led into deception. Train yourself to delay initial impulsive reactions by taking the time to think from the analytical view rather than the emotional place they're trying to get you to. Now, this is a hard one. It's a very good idea to diversify your sources of information because it creates a healthy balance of viewpoints, making your thought processing more equipped with a better, well-rounded understanding, allowing you to land at your decisions smartly, not emotionally, not impulsively, not stubbornly. It's a hard thing to do when your beliefs lie on a certain side. Remember, that's what they want. They want you to be stuck on a side and reject everyone else so that we're divided. That is their goal. The most important and probably the hardest part of critical thinking is to teach yourself to listen to other people. Hear what they have to say about the same situation. Everyone's thoughts and opinions are valid. There's a reason for them. There's a reason they feel the way they feel. There's something you don't know about in this situation that has led them to this opinion, to this viewpoint. A good practice is to just start a conversation with someone that has a differing view on a certain topic and listen to their reasoning. Also, remember that by listening, by having an open mind, by hearing people, it's not necessarily meaning that you agree with them. The point is, it's not to get you to change your stance. It's to give you a better understanding of the whole picture, to educate you on a point that you may have never thought about or knew existed. It's to get you to see the situation from every angle and make an informed decision. That's it. So listen to people, make people listen to you, and don't be afraid to have the conversations. Talk to each other, listen to each other, respect each other. Keep the fight inside you directed at those in power trying to divide us rather than at each other because we're stronger together and our fight is not with each other. We have an untapped superpower lying in our ability to think for ourselves, in the empowering freedom of keeping an open mind, open eyes, and open heart. It is time to apply critical thinking and use it to our advantage. Use it to ensure the freedoms our country was built on are improved upon and intact for our future generations. Thank you for listening today. This is From Dirt We Grow.